Oh goodness, yeah, there she is. Cats, what can you say?
Crazy cat lady. A proud crazy cat. Hey, Power Lifers, Ella here with my guest co-host, Anne Molina. Hey, Anne.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes. Now, most of our listeners probably know you by now because you've been on the show several times, starting with episode, I believe it was number 3, where we introduced Hogs and Kisses.
Yes.
So, if anybody has not listened to episode 3 or any of the other Anne episodes, definitely go check those out because we're going to be chatting about Hogs and Kisses today, among many other things. But the cool thing is I'm going to be seeing you, Anne, in a matter of, 2 days?
Yes. I'm very excited. Make sure you bring lots of warm coats and clothes.
Oh, gosh. Anne, I might die.
We got a little fire pit, like just for you, just so you know. Yeah, one of those like ones that you can throw, some logs in and stuff like that. We could sit around it. So
you just made me very, very happy. Yes. You guys, when we're recording this right now, we're 2 days away. I'm heading up to Virginia from Miami, which our cold streak, which we have been having, has been just below 70.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I looked at the weather as I started to think about what I'm going to pack. Not that my winter wardrobe is very extensive, but I saw 18 degrees, I believe, one night, and
I don't think so. I don't know that it'll get to 18. However, I did see that I think on the Monday before you go, there could potentially be snow. So I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't snow when she's supposed to leave the next day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so beware.
All right. Well, you know what? If it's going to be that cold, I wouldn't mind seeing some snow, I have to say.
True. That could be a nice bonus.
A little bonus. Well, cool. So I want to jump in. I see Sophia there in the background.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, there she is. Cats, what can you say?
Crazy cat lady. A proud crazy cat lady.
Yes.
That's how I would describe you. So today's topic is creating unity among vegans. And I wanted to invite Anne on because recently Anne has had some experiences interacting and networking with other vegans in different communities, especially on Facebook, I believe. And I wanted to bring her on because we gotta unite. And I know that's a theme now, in the country. And I think we need to bring it to the vegan world. And would you mind sharing, this is very interesting stuff, sharing what prompted you to want to do something, like want to be proactive about uniting the vegans?
Yeah. So I think it's actually a couple of influences. First and foremost, with the nonprofit, our sanctuary, Farm Sanctuary, we want to be able to provide educational experiences or content, right, to folks. So being that it's COVID right now, also too, we're developing our farm, right, literally physically building it and all this kind of thing. Not many people can kind of come and visit, right? So we want to be able to do some creative outreach. And so I thought, great, it'd be nice for us to put together maybe some educational series of information, content, experiences that we could provide for people to then come in and watch or learn from at their leisure. So that has been like in the back of my mind. Then the other influence, like you were saying, me starting the sanctuary and just kind of reaching out to different groups, social groups on social media platforms and such. Trying to learn from them, network, meet them, we also have launched a t-shirt contest, right? So just letting people know about it in case they want to submit and things like this. So something I noticed, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at it either, but I would say that when people engage in conversation amongst the vegan community, there's a lot of like, there's only one right way. And if you don't meet that definition of the right way, then you just aren't a vegan, right? Or like you're bad and wrong. There's like this feeling about it, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, maybe on some level, because of that, like overly judgy feeling, even people who are not in the plant-based animal advocacy group at all go and talk to somebody and go, "Oh, I'm a vegan." Immediately, they're on the defensive, like, "Oh, now they think they're better than me, right?" Or
Mhm.
something because I eat meat. There's already that in the space when that person isn't even involved, right, in the animal community. Now you're in the animal community, or plant-based animal community, and then there's even still there this like sense of like ranks, right? Like, I mean, I was seeing lots of different topics. People who don't believe in vaccinating, that if you do vaccinate, then you're not vegan. They test on animals, right? Things like that. There's even, I think, some threads about people who have children can't be technically vegan. I mean, there's lots of like definitions going around, and just it's fine to define, but it's the judgy part, right, that comes along. Like, if you don't meet this criteria, then you're like banished, right? Like you are branded as wrong. And I think in a lot of ways, and this is just my opinion, but in a lot of ways I feel like that kind of hurts the cause or the movement, right? In that I like to take the approach of being open-armed, welcoming in, and kindness, because at the end of the day, to me, being a vegan is not just about kindness to animals. It's about being kind, period, to human beings, to the earth, to each other, right? To animals, everything. So I think that kind of, yeah, colliding of those two things together, I then said to you and James, right? I said, "Hey, what do you all think about this idea?" Where now we are going to be creating this educational series, video series of various things, where it's very much like a roundtable discussion on plant-based topics, to vegan topics, to sanctuary topics, to then animal advocacy or activism. So, I think really what I'm trying to do is, while a lot of people get that education from documentaries, I'm trying to do it in little chunkable pieces
Mhm.
where it's just natural plant-based vegan folks sitting around, right? The haystacks on our farm, chatting about the topics that are important to us, and doing it in a healthy way where it's not judgy.
Oh, I love it. And when you brought this to me and
Mhm.
asked me to be a part of it, I was absolutely thrilled that you came up with this idea. And one of the things that really surprised me, I want to get a little more specific here, just as a story for our
Okay.
listeners,
Mhm.
because one of the ones that just shocked me was one of the things that we're doing, of course, in our sanctuary is making sure that the animals are safe, right?
Mm.
So there are lots of different ways to do that. There's a lot of, there are predators around. If you go to the Hogs and Kisses Facebook page, you can even see, and our Instagram page, right? You have Wildlife
Mhm.
Wednesday, and you see all
Mhm.
the wildlife in the woods around, which is so cool. But there are, dangers out there for the pigs and eventually cows, and especially the bunnies that are coming out. Uh, and one thing that a lot of sanctuaries do is have dogs that
Mhm.
protect the animals.
Mhm.
Can you share your experience when you reached out to learn more about what that
Mm.
looks like for different people and what might be helpful for us in our sanctuary?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, actually, this will eventually be a topic that we have in the
Yes.
series. So basically, it's kind of helping to define what a sanctuary is. That's the topic, right? And that came about, or in my head, because as I was, like you're saying, looking for consultation and resources and asking people things about predator proofing for the sanctuary, so that we could build fencing and such that's appropriate for a sanctuary and for the safety of our animals. I was asking about some dogs that I had been researching and I never knew this, where certain breeds of dogs are known to actually be guardians, not predatory dogs. So I believe I think it came from somewhere like in Turkey, some of the Pyrenees type dogs, and there's like a good dozen or so breeds of dogs that are considered guardians. Anyway, the farmers, old school farmers back in the day, would have their guardian dog, the ones that have this instinct as opposed to predatory instincts, bond as small puppies, bond with the flock that they would take care of. In most cases, sheep, goat. So they would bond with them such that it becomes their family. And so instinctually, they then take care of that flock. So if any predator comes around, they'd go around, right, barking or what have you, and doing what it needs to do to protect that flock. So as I asked about this in sanctuary groups, everybody was very, I guess, opinionated about that, especially because since you have to bond them at such a young age, it tends to be that farmers, not necessarily sanctuaries, but farmers will get these dogs from breeders, right? Because they have to be puppies. So to really, truly, I think, blend. However, in asking, I did learn some good information in that actually, look, just like, we know about animals and especially dogs, they're so smart. And with the right training, you can really, right, have remarkable kinds of turnaround from tragic, right, situations with dogs. And then they really learn to love and things like that. Well, similarly, if you went to a rescue or a shelter and ended up getting this breed of guardian dog and training it to then bond with a flock, there have been cases like that where the dog would bond and it wasn't a puppy, it had been already grown. So I was like, oh, that's great, that's encouraging. And anyway, other conversations spun from that around, of course, that people were completely against breeding. And I myself am not a fan, right, of breeding in the sense that we just have so many animals in need. So there's that was going on. And then other people were talking about how they too have guardian dogs, and not necessarily that they were going to a breeder, but maybe some of them rescued them. And that absolutely by having them just merely on their farms or their sanctuaries, that protection was being had, because they might roam around at night or whatever, and they come to love the chickens and not, trying to eat the chickens and things like that. So there were some great success stories, but then there were also a lot of stories where some of these sanctuary owners had gotten into some hairy situations, I think, where the dog did do something aggressive, either to the animal or to the human, and had to be put down. And the manner in doing so was not acceptable. And anyway, so the point of the matter was, here's one person just trying to learn, right, and reaching out, and it just created a bit of a firestorm, and certainly didn't mean to do that, right? But I think that's kind of what we're getting at here in this educational series is it okay to just ask some questions? Because that's where I'm at in my learning. I have never owned a sanctuary before, but yet I'm doing this and I want to do it right. And I want to learn all these things, but I also don't want to have my head bitten off, right? By asking questions. And so sorry, I didn't know that, but hey, I'm glad I have a resource, right? So that's what we think. Yeah, it comes down to. That was the experience anyway, Ella, to answer your question that I had.
Yeah, no, and if we can't ask questions and have a discussion, then how is anything going to change? Is really, what it comes down to. And I love that this series, which we haven't quite picked the name yet, we might have to do a poll or a vote or something to get everybody's opinion. What are our top? Do we have top 3?
Yes, I think we have a top 3 right now. You want me to say them?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So we're thinking, number 1, living on the veg. Number 2 was beet around the barn, but beet like B-E-T, right? And then 3, you don't know beans.
I love them all.
Yeah, I think they're good.
Yeah. So yeah, we might have to do a poll, but I'm going up this weekend and we're shooting the first episode. If you want to call it that.
First two for now.
First two. Okay, first two episodes. And what are the topics these first two on?
Yes. So we wanted to start with just what is a vegan? Right? Like, let's start with like some basic definition for those that are out there that are veg curious, or, you know, who knows, maybe they're just doing meatless Mondays and are starting to think, oh, maybe I could take on a bit more of this plant-based stuff, right? And they're learning about that. And so we're really trying to define what is a vegan. And so that'll be number one. And then number two will be what is a sanctuary? Many, many definitions there, and some twists and turns depending upon the type of animal that might be rescued, rehabilitated, maybe released back into the wild, or provided a safe haven like a sanctuary.
And what are some other topics that we have on tap coming up? Because we're gonna get lots of you guys' opinions about what you would like to hear as well. But I want to share a few of the ones that we have already come up with.
Yes. So I think we're definitely going to tackle like plant-based dating. Or you're right, if you are a full-fledged vegan, do you date non-vegans or not, right? That's a hot topic.
Love that one. I've got big opinions on that one.
That would be good.
From experience.
Yeah, love that one. We'll absolutely then do parenting. Like, so if you're a parent and you're vegan, but maybe your kids aren't, or if you are and you have vegan kids, what resources do you have? Where do you go? How does the schools accommodate you? Do they not? Right? You know, do you homeschool? A bunch of different topics there. So there's that. And then another one that will be near and dear to my heart will be around having cats.
Ooh.
And whether you're a vegan who owns a cat, and we'll actually be able to have some folks that we have a part of the discussions that are involved in developing plant-based animal foods. So pet foods, dog and cat foods. So that'll be a really interesting discussion, I think.
Oh man, no, that one is going to be good, because I have to tell you, Anne, we don't have a lot of controversy in my Empowered Vegan Life Facebook group. If you're not a member, definitely join us there. It's free. But I will never forget the one time I posted something about animals, pets and pet food, and the amount of emotion that came up from I did not see it as a threatening post or, very controversial. I didn't think it was, but wow, people have big opinions on that, and it's heated, right?
Right.
And so that's why I'm so glad we're having, because you and I, we may have different opinions.
Yes, right.
And guess what? That's okay.
Exactly.
Let's talk about it.
Right. And we can put our big girl panties on. So sorry, excuse the expression, but and have a normal conversation without being like, okay, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Right. Or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And actually on that note too, I then learned while we were thinking about different topics, I learned of a new term in the vegan community called an apologist.
Yes. You
Yeah.
told me about this, and I hadn't heard about this either. So
yeah. Basically, an apologist is a vegan, or a person who sees themselves as a vegan and then has interactions with other folks who might just be plant-based or vegetarian, not quite vegan, or what have you. And they're talking about like, man, I really wish I could get around to buying those vegan, makeup products or shampoos instead of the ones I do. The apologist vegan goes, you're on a journey. It's okay. You'll get there one day, right? That's where they come up with apologist as the name. So that will be an interesting topic. I have a lot of opinions on that. So anyway, we're going to try to pick ones that are, again, educational, informative, and then ones that might be triggers, and try and get to the bottom of the reason of why they're triggering people to behave like that, so adversarial, adversarial about those topics.
Yeah, I have to say, I do not spend a whole lot of time and energy in vegan communities. And I think the reason for that is I am spending my time and energy in vegan curious communities because that's where I feel like I can really make a positive impact instead of being around people that are already vegan. So I do feel a little, as vegan as I am, and as long as I've been vegan, 25 years, I do feel a little disconnected. I'm not going to lie to other vegans. And, part of that is this whole thing where, especially people who just became vegan. I mean, I have to say, who get on this righteous path and get up on a soapbox and, I'm not gonna get up on a soapbox now, but it just is not, you know what I mean? It's just, it just doesn't feel good. And it doesn't, and I don't feel like that's the way to make a big difference. So I kind of stay away.
Yeah, right. It's like this, it's so, there's such a fine line between being so passionate about something, but then having that passion blind you. So much so that you step over your own feet, right? And again, have there been times where absolutely my friends have said to me, Anne, nobody likes an angry vegan, yeah, somebody has absolutely said that to me before. So I won't say that I have ever not been judgy in a conversation. I'm sure I came across that way. And if I did, I am super sorry. And I'm learning, right, to be able to have these conversations in a much more healthy way. Because I agree with you, Ella. I do think that is going to be the way to help more people, right, see, oh, wow, I can actually do this. It doesn't seem like it's such a big deal to eat plant-based and go vegan or whatever, but have people come closer to that goal.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about judging, and we're all human beings, right? We judge. We do.
Yes.
It's what we do with that judgment and what we tell ourselves and how we communicate with others. And the work is in what we call in Vegan Life Coach Academy, the power pause. It's taking a step back and thinking about what your thoughts and your emotions are, and then being intentional with the words and the actions that you take. And I
love that.
That's the powerful piece. And I think that's the missing piece. And it's tough work. I mean, that is hard. It is so much easier to just let the emotions fly and say what's at the top of your mind, because there is a lot of sadness and there is a lot of anger that I have as well for how animals are treated, and the suffering and the death that goes on every second of every day. And if I let myself go to that place, it is a hard place to be. It's depressing and anxiety producing, and but that's where the work is. Is to take that and say, you know what, this isn't about me and my feelings. This is about me making a difference. And how am I going to do that? And what do I have to hold back in order to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so well said. Right. Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's about taking your self responsibility, in that not making it about you. Let's make it about the animals, and let's think big term, big picture.
Absolutely. Yes. And so do we have any thoughts about when this is coming out, our first episode, and where people can find it?
Yes. So it's likely that we're going to have these come out maybe like every 2 to 3 weeks. I would say probably more like about every 3 weeks or so. And I'm really hopeful that maybe mid-February is when we might release the first one. And then we'll just keep them ongoing, right, throughout the year, and lots of different topics and things like that.
Yeah. And while I have you on, let's give a little update. We didn't start with an update of Hogs and Kisses, but
sure.
But let's end with one, because I get to meet our buns this weekend, our very first animal. So tell us what has been happening since you came on last. I think we were at Dawn's house when we recorded, and we had a very fun episode, the last one. But tell us what has happened since then. Where are we?
So speaking of that last episode where we talked about poop.
Lots of poop.
Yeah, what has happened? More poop, quite frankly.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Poop, man. So since then, we took in some bunnies, a couple of buns. So our farm actually is on, the street name is Rabbit Valley, because there are actually a lot of wild rabbits on our property. So we knew that we were going to take in some rabbits other than pigs and cows. So we went ahead because in this area in Virginia, there was a farm that was closed down. And I'm not 100% sure on what the details were. I have a feeling it was a financial thing that maybe the farm could not sustain anymore. And then it was like seized and then closed down. So anyway, they had a slew of rabbits, a bunch of pigs, a bunch of things. So, these particular buns had gone around to a couple of folks, one place, and it didn't work out. And then it went to a foster, didn't work out, or whatever. So by the time it came to us, they had gone around to about, I think we were its fourth location, fourth place, I know. And the buns at that point were only 6 months old, you know. So I assured them that this is their last stop. They will, of course, be with Hogs and Kisses for the rest of their life, and that we will absolutely love them and provide the best possible home for them. So they are here currently with me at my home while we're building the farm. And the plan is to build a beautiful half indoor, half outdoor enclosure. I'm a real big fan of providing as much natural habitat, right, for animals as I possibly can. So for the buns, we will have an indoor portion, kind of like think of a pretty shed, so to speak, with a nice run to it, which is like a wired in area. So it's contained, but yet they have outdoor time and little hidey spaces and grass to be able to run around and things like that. So a little bit of best of both worlds. And so let's see, the girls then also got spayed as well. Spaying of really just about almost all sanctuary animals is a very common practice. Many types of animals will develop cancers later on in their lives. So you tend to have the spaying occur earlier on, as well as spaying and neutering also helps with animal temperament, where maybe then domination or acting out aggression towards each other, fights and things like that can be calmed down. And also too, that's very helpful as well in that as a sanctuary, we don't want there to be more and more animal production, right? So it does obviously help mitigate population and numbers because they're coming to sanctuary. So anyway, multiple reasons we went ahead and spayed the bunnies. And they went through that very well. Everything went well. They healed well. I did have to separate them at one point because Noisette, who is the chocolate one, had kind of dialed up her dominance over her sister Canelle and was nipping at her and doing these kinds of things. My understanding is very common in bunnies, and actually it can take anywhere from a couple of weeks to even a couple of months for their hormones to regulate and for them to calm down and such. But everybody who I had reached out to about it reassured me that because they were already a bonded pair, that it was highly likely that they would rebond again, which they did. And actually rebonding only took a few days. Plus, when I separated them, I kept their enclosure side by side, so they could still sniff each other and all this kind of thing. And then one last thing, which actually we'll be posting about too, giving a little update on. But so Noisette did develop a gut issue, which is called GI, gastrointestinal stasis. It's super important for bunnies to have the food moving constantly. So that's why they're always chewing. That plus always chewing helps them to shave down their teeth because their teeth never stop growing. So anyway, they have to keep eating and chewing constantly. Well, anyway, she had slowed down on eating, slowed down on pooping, slowed down on drinking, like the whole shebang. I got very worried. So I rushed her over, it was last weekend, to a animal hospital, and they were able to like flush her out and give her fluids and do all this kind of thing. And she responded very well to it. Within probably about 6 hours, she was moving around again and eating some hay finally. And so the very next day, I saw some good, healthy poops, and I've never been happier to see poop in my life. I was like, no way, not on my watch. This bunny's not going down. So anyway, she's thriving and doing great. And the two of them are snuggling together and having a great time. Yeah. So they will be ready to meet you, Ella, when you come.
I cannot wait. And what I've done this week, Anne, is really try to get ahead with my other work so that I can also spend some time this weekend working on the tiny home plans.
Nice.
So that's going to be a project. So you guys, if you don't know, I'm working on a tiny home to get up on the land as soon as possible so that we can transport our 4 pigs that we've been sponsoring for almost a year now.
Yes.
Down.
From this April, I think, March or April. Yep.
Yep. And so we've got a lot of fence to both build and first of all buy.
Yes.
Which is a much bigger expense than I could have ever imagined.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Like
seriously.
$10,000?
Oh, more than that.
For just the pig enclosure.
Just for the pig area? Yeah, more than that. And then if you want to add then the fencing for the cow, again, might as well double that on top of that. And that's just the fencing, right? That's not even temporary paddocks, right? Because if you need to create a little area, if one gets sick, like look what happened with me and the bunnies, I had to separate them and I had to think quick, right? Oh
and
my God.
With a tiny animal.
Exactly.
Imagine how many hundreds of pounds?
Right.
Farm pig?
These will be 300 to 400 pounds. Yeah. And they need space. It's not like you can just, they need to, right? And and how do you just throw together, an enclosure for a pig? You know what I mean? Like you have to plan, for these things. So and actually, we have so many things to talk about because I'm meeting with a carpenter too to look at the wood barn that we have on the farm and repurposing that to be the pig barn. And I'm trying to get some quotes. Been getting quotes on materials for fencing and also to even just fencing companies just to see because of the augers that have to put the posts in, how far apart they need. I mean, you name it. I mean, it is incredible, right? Because also on this note, it's just the decisions that we make for the sanctuary are different because if you just ask a regular, like a traditional farmer who maybe does it in their backyard, they would make maybe different choices because they're keeping their animals for not even a year. Right. And so it's a lot of like keeping the flow per se, right? Not the longevity and the safety of an animal for 15 years, right? So the choice of the fence is different. You know what I mean? So just all these nuances and and of course the tiny home as well, right? I mean, we have so many things to talk about.
So many things. We've got a busy weekend ahead. And of course we can use all the support that we can get from all of you, our amazing listeners, whether that be financial support. We have a donations page and every single penny makes a difference. So we just hope if you can, whatever you can donate, we would be massively grateful to you for that. But just supporting us and being involved and engaging is going to be helpful too. So make sure that you like our Facebook page and our Instagram account and engage. And we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff to have you be actually involved. We want the community all over the country and all over the world to be involved in this project. This is exciting. This is new. This is 2 Miami girls making it work on a farm with no experience whatsoever. It's going to be a bit of a trip and a half, and we're going to have fun along the way. We laugh it up, and there'll be the ups and the downs and the struggles and the celebrations and the wins, and we want to share it all with you guys. So
and I'd like to add one thing on that note too, Ella, because all the stuff you brought up was fantastic. And it's been making me think too that again, like when people think about volunteering, they think like, all right, like nailing a fence, putting the fence in and all that. So we will eventually need, right, some help with that too. However, if you are in a place where it's more under lockdown or you can't go out or whatever, believe me, we need plenty of remote help too. There's plenty of grants that we're researching. And if you're a great writer and you want to help with that kind of thing, our social media efforts. We've got this t-shirt contest going on, right? So helping even with us marketing our online sales for that, because a portion of those proceeds then become donation, right, for us, right? So we're looking at all kinds of funding sources and streams. So if you have cool ideas that you want to take on and have that be what you donate to us, then great, we're all ears, So yeah, please, by all means, anything you want to do, contact us.
Yes, and we will put the contact info in the show notes. So do not hesitate to reach out. We work really hard to be super communicative and get back to anyone and everyone who reaches out to us. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you so much, Anne, for being here, for sharing all of that, and for all that you're doing for the animals.
Yes. No, I'm so happy, Ella, that you're my partner in crime on this. I couldn't do it without you for sure. And how awesome is James, our board member, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. This great little scrappy team.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, we were a powerful threesome. If you haven't listened to the episode, I think it was, I would never remember episodes, but Vegan Try Guys. It's James Aubrey. I interviewed him just a couple episodes ago, and he's got a really fascinating story and just a flat out amazing human being. Just so generous and thoughtful and passionate. It's just amazing guy. So, all righty, guys. Thanks again. If you have not shared this podcast with your friends and your family, we've got something for everybody here. And we're very, as you can tell from this episode, very open-minded and welcoming to anyone and everyone wherever you are on your journey. So please share this with your friends and family. Leave us a review, and we will keep bringing you